Go. Sorry. Go ahead. You go first. You go first. I already said my first note. It's been a while since we trained together.
I was going to say the same thing. It's been years. Very, very long time. So it's very special to me.
And I was going to say something. I did forget. I was going to say the reason it's been a while. You want to know why? For one, I moved away from Savannah, but Brittany Howard went and did with her leaders. She brought up leaders. She did what we were doing, but with her people. I didn't see her much because she was off doing what we had already done together. And that is the definition of leadership. I never told Brittany, hey, you need to go do what we're doing. And I asked her, how do you know what to do? I never told you what to do. And she said, I just watched what you did. And that's what I went and did with my people. And that is exactly what leadership looks like.
Amazing. But also, I was just going to start this training by saying how grateful I am that I had a leader. Because Phallin is definitely a doer, and a doer, and a doer, and a doer. She will outdo anybody. She's definitely a hard worker, and she's always just been, willing to dig in with me and figure things out. And just not only has she been a leader and a mentor, but also a friend. And so I'm just incredibly grateful because if it weren't for this girl, but my life has been transformed, and because of her belief. It's her belief and her vision and her work ethic and her drive and like the desire to make more money that it has made her so incredibly useful in my life. And I cannot even describe how grateful I am for this girl. So it is definitely an honor to stand here and train with Phallin. I mean, Phallin Reeb.
You've known me for a while.
And in my phone, I have a picture of us saved from when we first started, just so we don't ever forget our roots. Nobody came.
We went door to door in my junky tennis shoes. I got problems on now. It's still me.
Okay.
All right. She looked at me and said she is broke. She needs some money. All right, you guys, who should you develop into a leader? Let's just start with our second point, because we're just going to say you have to like them. You have to like your people. You know why? Because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. If you're building a legacy business, you think you might want to like them. And I'll hear all the time, I like her, I like her, I like her, I like her. Are you just a people person? You just love everybody? Or you want to go bra shopping with her? That's the kind of like I'm talking about here. Like, when you're going to get to know each other. And if, it might work that way, but if she's 90 and you're 20, she's probably not going to be your best friend. I hate to tell you. That is probably not your person, but there are other traits to look for, but that would be what I look for. Do I like this person? And do they like me? Because the people who didn't like me, they didn't want to follow me. I could drag them all the way across the road, but they didn't really want to follow me because they didn't respect me. We didn't have much in common. It seems so basic, but it's true. So look at your people. Are they your people?
I totally agree. Chemistry is definitely important. That quote that says, choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. This is how you do that. You develop people into leaders that you like. That's really important because you're going to be on the beaches of Hawaii with them every year, the rest of your life. That's commitment. So I would say you need to like them. Unless you want to be in Hawaii every year with people you don't like, that is not fun.
That has happened to some people. What am I doing here? Who are these people? And then they have to go get some more people, pour into the right people. They need to be self-motivated. This was asked in the Jewel page years ago. What did anybody have any Jewels on their team that was not self-motivated? The answer was no. Like, there was nobody who said that. You know why? Because we're busy growing our own business. I don't have to worry about what Brittany's doing in her business. She needs to want this for herself. Someone who wants this for themselves, they're going to be self-motivated. I don't have to say, Brittany, are you on team call? That right there. Never done it with my leaders. I used to. Did I really? Yeah. I don't remember. You listened to me so much for not being but it wasn't because I wasn't. But you weren't there yet. Like you weren't there yet. Like I was bringing you
Oh,
up
not
into
since
that.
I was a leader.
No,
But I just don't want people to think, oh, well, this person doesn't get on team call, therefore they're not a leader. You know
oh
what I
no,
mean?
that's gonna come, I think we're gonna talk about that in coaching or somewhere here. There is a time and place to, when do you slow down and when do you help bring someone up? But y'all, my memory's not the greatest, so.
You definitely posted me not being on team call. That's why I got on them.
Yeah, but I wasn't like every week, are you on?
No.
What I did was I motivated to get on. And once I give her enough belief that she should own it, she should be on, then I expect her to get on. I wasn't checking in after that. Tell them how you decided you were gonna get on.
Yeah, because Phallin talked to me like I was a leader. This is also our next point, which we're kind of skipping ahead. We'll come back. But when you're talking to people like a leader, you're assuming that they want to be a leader and like they're going to, even if they don't yet, they're going to have a team that they're going to be leading. And so you have to teach them how to lead. And so she said, like, she would be like, Brittany, we missed your team call last night. And I would give my excuse. Yeah, Brittany, but these calls are really important. Well, I understand that, but I already knew, like, whatever the topic was, I already know how to do that. And she said, Brittany, the team calls are not for you. You might know that, but the team doesn't. And your team needs to be on there and they're going to do what you do. So she's always talked to me as if I am a leader.
And when she owned that for herself, she was then self-motivated to get on.
Yes.
So when you're coaching and when you're trying, how do I get people to be on team call? How do I get people to go to events? How do I get them to go to do book club? You get their buy-in, you get them to own it for themselves, and then they do it. Then they do the things. I don't nag. If a leader doesn't show up and get on, that's their business. I might say, hey, I miss you, but it's not every week. Because if she's not on, she owns it. She knows she needs to be on, and if she's not on, then she has a reason.
Yeah, and then whenever I'm stuck in my business, and I'd be like, Phallin, what do I need to do? I want to grow. I want to rank up. I want to earn a shopping spree. She'd be like, are you doing what I told you to do? Like, she'll take the opportunity to remind, like, oh, here's the checklist of things that you know you're supposed to be doing. Like, she's not, definitely never has dragged, but definitely reminds. Like, and she waits for timing, which we're talking about timing. Timing is important because I think that's how you prevent yourself from nagging, is paying attention to the law of timing. She's always looking for a good opportunity, and that involves timing.
So we'll hit our other point. There's 3 traits. Self-motivated, you have to like them, they have to be coachable, and that's kind of what we're talking about now. It all goes together. But someone who is coachable, they're going to do what you say. It might not be the first time, because you might need to say it differently. I've asked my sister, like, how do I do what I do? She's like, I don't know, you just have some gift of persuading people. So I guess you just know what you want them to do, and then you somehow convince them to do what you know they need to be doing. So you might have to say it a couple different ways. But if someone is going to be a leader on your team, they have to be coachable. They have to be like, hey, where can I improve? What can I do differently? Lori Welch, tell me I'm negative. Okay, I don't believe you. Tell me again. Okay, give me the books. Read the books, changed my life. That is someone who is coachable. And you cannot, as a leader, you cannot coach your team if you're not willing to be coached. You can't be a leader if you're not a follower. That right there, because a lot of leaders are like, I'm a leader, look at me, I'm out in front, I'm doing the things. Well, you also have to be coached by someone, because again, we lie to ourselves. We'll think we're better than we are. Sometimes we'll think we're worse than we are, and then we'll dwell on that too. And then your upline will bring you up. Your job as an upline and to develop leaders is to bring them up out of that. Well, Brittany would come to me like, can I be a diamond? It's her favorite question. Can I be a diamond, Phallin? Yes, Brittany. Let me remind you again why you're going to be a diamond. Okay. Like, that is what you do with your people. They'll feel discouraged. They're going to come to you, and you're going to bring them up out of that. That is developing a leader. And then she would go. I didn't remind her to do her IPA again. I didn't remind her to do her reach outs again. I just gave her belief for why she was going to be successful, and she went and worked her business.
I think so much of it, back to what you were saying about how do you do what you do. I think so much of getting people to do the things, it's vision, number one, and connecting with people. Like, vision, Phallin has the vision. And she had a clear picture in her mind of where she wants to go, or where you are telling her you want to go. And then, like, the way she gets people to do things is by focusing on the benefit to them. Like, if you do this, here's the benefit you're going to receive from that. Basically, it's sales skills. Like, you gotta be able to sell the value of what you're trying to get someone to do. And so much of it is connecting. You're not gonna know how to sell that particular person because you're not gonna know the benefits to them. You're not, if you don't know their core values, if you don't know what's important to them, you're gonna have a real hard time selling them on doing something that makes them uncomfortable or doing things when they don't feel like doing it, right? So I think it's vision and connecting.
Oh, texting. Who likes to text? Is anybody a texter? Prefer texting over talking on the phone? No? You like to get on the phone? Good, because I know some of you don't. So those of you who do, good. The rest of you who don't, do it anyways. I hated making phone calls my entire life. My sister didn't mind, so she got to do it for me. And so I never learned that skill. But I learned through network marketing, you have to get on the phone with people. That is so important because you're not going to be able to take someone where they're at and push them a little bit further if you cannot connect with them and get on the phone. So don't give me your excuses for why you're not on the phone. I just said you have to be on the phone, and I meant it. You have got to get on the phone with your people. Best time to do it when you're doing dishes, doing laundry, you're getting in the car, while you're doing things that don't require thinking. So if you're folding your laundry, that's a brainless task. You can be talking to someone. Make it a habit. I learned this from my mom. She'd go stand there to do the dishes and she would get on the phone. That I get in the car, I call my leaders. If they don't answer, I'm like, I need more leaders because I ain't got no one to talk to. Where are these people? They're probably talking to their leaders, but I need someone to talk to. I'm going to coach them. I'm going to work with them. If that doesn't work, then set a scheduled time every week to connect with your people. I like to get on my phone every day. Brittany Howard would always call me while I was making dinner. So she was my dinner phone call. Rochelle Osborne, her timing was great, so she was my lunch break phone call. We'd talk while I ate my lunch. She liked to talk a lot, so I got to chew and I got to listen. That is what she needed. But anybody can be a leader. You have to meet them where they're at. So when you're on the phone and you're talking and they're having an issue, Brittany's really great at this. Lauren Welch is really great at this too. You say you have a problem or you're frustrated and they'll listen and they'll make you feel normal. They will normalize what you're saying, like cry. Every mom feels that way. Everybody feels this guilt or frustration or that's normal. What you're feeling is normal. Want to say something there? You look like you might.
I was just gonna add, as far as the multitasking, just side note, I'm unable to do that. Like, there's been so many times where I've attempted to be on the phone while I'm folding laundry so that I can be like extra productive. And like an hour later, I'll find the pile of laundry still sitting next to me, be like, lean in, like doubled over thinking so hard. So if you can't multitask, that's okay too. But guess what? I'm still finding time. I'm still making time to connect with my people on the phone.
She do it in the car.
I do it.
She's like, I'm getting in the car. Can I call you then?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that works too. Okay. So you're connecting with them. You're making them feel normal. I would write that down. Make them feel normal. And I've gone completely off my notes, but this is really important. And I think it's somewhere back here. We don't talk about it right now though. Okay. We're going to finish that. So make them feel normal. My brother was having some issues this week and I got on the phone with him and he's like, your advice was great. I'm like, what advice? I didn't do any, I didn't give you any advice, but I made him feel normal. Dude, if you're going to get married, you're going to have issues. There's going to be conflict. Welcome to marriage. Isn't this fun? And he's like, I don't want it. I'm like, yeah, I don't either when I'm fighting, but tomorrow will be a good day. This is normal. I wanted to kill Caleb last week. Pretty much planning another divorce here, but we're okay. Okay, I love him now. He's amazing, best dad ever. It happened. So make him feel normal. He felt heard. He felt seen. He felt like he could confide in me. He felt like he could relate to me, and that makes him feel like he can do what I'm saying. If she can do it, I can do it. That is the ideal you want to give to the people that you are leading, is that they can do this. So then you relate, like I said, with the story, but you don't end there. You offer a solution.
Yeah, I think relating with a story is more, I think that is how you make people feel normal, is you say, it still felt bad, y'all. But again, so much of being a leader is sales skills, but feel felt bad. It's just like, I understand how you feel. I have felt the same way. Here's what I did that helped. And you normalize the struggle by saying, I have felt all the things that you're feeling right now. And, or I had done that, I had made that mistake, and here's what I learned, or here's the solution that I found. And that way people don't feel judged or broken. I think that is super, super important. And if you can't relate with your own story, like if they have a just completely different personality than you and you just absolutely don't relate at all, you tell somebody else's story.
Yep.
That's why it's really important. Events like this, like these are the people that you're going to be building with like forever and ever. It's important that you get to know people's stories so that you have stories to tell that will help your downline. That's really, really important.
Oh yeah, always connecting with the story. And then after you relate with the story, you make them feel normal. First you listen too, right?
Yes.
You have to be a good listener. People want to talk. And if you are the one talking, don't talk for 30 minutes nonstop. Like have a pause in there. But people want to talk and you need to listen. Sometimes people just need you to listen. They need to talk themselves through it. Any conflict, if you can talk about it, it's like, why were we fighting? Or why couldn't, like, I knew this. I talked to Brittany all the time. I'm like, I knew that. Just need to talk about it. I need to process it. So when they come to you with their issues and you're leading them, then you offer a solution. You don't leave them there in their frustration or in the pity party. Like I relay, oh, boo hoo, poor us, whatever, but we're rising above. No, you give them you offer them a tangible solution. What action can they take to fix whatever problem they were having? They feel mom guilt for coming on this event. They don't feel like they can get their IPA in. They're not able to find time to get on the phone. Whatever it is, look into their schedule with them. Help them find the time. Okay, girl, you only have 4 hours a day. What are the most important things you can do with your 4 hours? I might think you need to work 8, but she can only work 4. I'm going to help her maximize her 4 hours. Yeah. And that's really important.
So much of being a leader too is helping people overcome mindset issues. And that is why you have to be on the phone. Like when you are on the phone with your people, y'all know this business is 80% mindset. It's only 20% skill set. What we do to make money is very, very simple. It's not the skill that holds people back. It is what's between their ears. That's why you have to be on the phone. So you definitely have to make them feel normal, give them a story, give them a solution. But oftentimes you're going to have to look for the thought behind the behavior. Like if somebody is not taking action, don't assume it's laziness. Get to the root behind that. If somebody is not taking action, or if they're not taking action consistently, or if they're not taking the right actions, or if they're not taking the actions effectively, most of the time, it's not a skill set. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's a mindset, and it's usually a lack of belief in some area. Like your behavior is driven by what you think and believe, which causes you to feel a certain way, which is going to produce whatever behavior you see. So you have to look for the thought that's driving the behavior or the lack of activity or whatever. Don't just assume that people are lazy. You're going to have to be willing to dig in with people and ask questions and draw it out, which is what you do really well.
So if as a leader, you know you have to be doing your IPA, you have to be doing your personal growth, you have to be coaching and developing leaders, those 3 things, and your people aren't doing those things, your job is to help them figure out how to make that happen. You're not going to teach them how to recruit or how to send a cool message. You can help them with that, but you can also point them to a video with that. But their individualized coaching is developing leaders. So each individual leader will have, reasons that they need to work through why they can't get on book club. Let me help you through that. Let's find a time. I have the same problem. I just learned to give my kids a bath an hour earlier. Stuff like that is going to help them to develop to their fullest potential. But again, if Brittany comes to me and says, I have 4 hours a day to work, and I'm like, I'm working 8 hours a day. I feel like you ought to be able to do that. That is not meeting someone where they're at. You go to where they are at. Even if right now someone has 30 minutes. Okay, that sucks. You need more than 30 minutes, but let me help you. Let's prioritize. What can we do during those 30 minutes so you can be effective and you can grow your business consistently? That is really important. Help them be consistent. So don't listen to their reasons and be like, oh, she can't get on book club because she don't whatever it is. She just can't. She's
so
constant.
busy.
Yeah.
So busy. She just has a really busy life.
Yeah, she's so busy. That's one thing we hear. Because the end goal is that you know, if you know that you know that you know they need to be on book club, you're not going to listen to that. She's so busy. Your mind's going to get creative. Okay, she's busy. How can I help her make this work?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not on book club because I'm not busy.
There's that
Slave
too.
me.
And you could say that. You could say, well, I'm busy too. Is that going to be effective though?
No.
You have to take that further.
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand too, when you're on the phone with people, the purpose is not to train people. Like, here's the difference between training and coaching. If you can get it from a video, it's probably training. If you can't, what you cannot get from a video is feedback.
Yep.
It's a conversation. It's someone asking you questions and drawing you out. Those are things you cannot get from a video. Now, a skill set you can. So you shouldn't be spending your time on the phone with people trying to teach them how to do something. You're really just trying to help them work through whatever issues.
And Jamie and I are going to talk about that tomorrow on our coaching stuff, but it really is just so important. Okay, so what you're going to do with your people, your job is to help them find how they influence. Leaders are influencers. So how do we help people influence others? What are some ways that you do that? I call this branding. I had no idea about influence, but when I started, we called it branding. What are 5 areas that you can add value? Let's start posting about that stuff. So your job is to help someone figure out how they can add an influence. This is one of the first things you do with people. Don't just get them posting and sharing about Plexus, because that's going to be salesy. Develop them into not an influencer like we think of influencers nowadays, and they're posting their like to know it and they're doing all this. We're network marketers. We are not influencers, but we are influential. How do we help someone do that?
To build influence, you just simply have to figure out how to add value. The quickest way to add value is to solve a problem for somebody. But it's not only problem solving, it's just adding value. You have to teach somebody how they add value, like specifically to them. How does this person add value to you? Like, what are you getting out of this relationship with that person? Again, you're not going to know if you're not spending time connecting with people and like getting to know them. Does that mean you have to be best friends with everybody? No, but it does mean you need to have a level of connection. Like, you do need to actually care about who your people are, what kind of personality they have, what motivates them, and what they want out of life. Otherwise, how are you going to serve them well? So in order for you to teach them how to have influence or build influence, you just simply teach them how to add value. Most people show up on social media with a mentality of, what do I get out of this? Which is why most people complain about social media, because they're like, they have this taker mentality. If you are growing a network marketing business and using social media to do that, you shift your whole entire mindset to, what am I going to give here? And you teach them to do the same thing. Like, you're no longer showing up on social media to take. You're showing up to give. What can I give my audience here? Even if it's just like a smile or a laugh, or I teach them something, or I share a perspective on something, or something motivational, or a recipe. Like, you're showing up to add on social media, and you teach them how to do that. And honestly, with all the talk on social media and what we're supposed to be doing on there, that's really what people are saying. How can you get people to ask you questions? So Brittany would ask, well, where do I add value? Like, what do people like to talk to you about? Like, we start asking questions. So your leaders come to you, they want to develop themselves, they want to start adding value, or you tell them, hey, we're going to do this. This is going to get.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
Recording.
Is it? Yeah, it says recording. It said recording in progress.
Okay. All right, go back. So branding, that's what you're doing, is you're helping them develop a brand. So what kind of things are people coming to you? Where are they asking questions? What gets you the most comments? It literally, I'm like, I need to keep having babies. People love this stuff. I get comments all the time. I join these moms group, all these moms having babies. My last post was 95% non-Plexus people. I call that a win. I'm like, my people want to see more about this. They're messaging me about pumping and breastfeeding and all the things. And I have conversations going with people who are prospects. So sometimes just taking action is what's going to help people figure out where they're adding value. As Jules, we ask each other all the time, like, where do I add value? Brittany Howard, people like to talk to you about marriage, family, these things add value, your personal growth. What books are you reading? Ask her, what books? So she talks about these kind of things because that is what is adding value. So help your people find 5 things, 5 ways to add value, to get conversations, because we all know that if no one's commenting on your post, nobody wants to know about Plexus, you don't have any new prospects there, you're going to need to find a way to get the people in. You're going to want to find a way for people to follow you too. So that's an easy way for people to buy into you and your vision. If you're, for one, posting about the business and where you're going, but also posting about things that are going to make people trust you, not make you seem smart, but like, oh, she has some value to add. And I feel like I can ask her questions because I'm interested in her life. So when she posts about this Plexus thing, I'm interested.
And it is very belief building. If you will take the time to work through this with people and help them, like just think about this, like most people in a week's time, they don't get a genuine compliment about like who they are. And so if you as a leader are helping someone think through, like, this is the relationship we have, and this is what I see about you, and this is what I see that you're good at, and these are the things that I like to talk to you about. And so that means other people are also going to like to talk to you about it. Like, it's so belief building, like it's a confidence booster for that person, and they feel seen and heard, and they feel like you believe in them. And then a lot of times they'll sit there and they think, no, I don't know that about myself. You're right. And then they like, it reduces insecurity because, and it reduces like comparison. It doesn't completely eliminate it because we all struggle with that, but like when we, as women, I feel like we do tend to compare ourselves to others, but when we are confident in how God wired us, and we can walk in that, and we know the value we bring to the table, and we don't have to have somebody else's strengths, or we don't have to look like somebody else or be like that person in order to reach our goals, it eliminates drama. It builds better quality relationships and friendships, and it builds confidence for people.
And being in the Plexus world, you might feel like everybody's posting, there's so much everywhere. And that is because that's what we all do. But out there, normal people who are from these birth mom groups, they're not posting. They think I'm amazing because I'm adding value. They don't see that anywhere else. And it was eye-opening to me because I'm just so like Plexus, all my Plexus people, we're all doing the same things, we're all posting all the time. It feels like a lot, but I stalk their pages. They're not doing these things. They're looking at me. They see me as a leader. They see me as an influencer. They see me as someone they can come to. And that's what you want to develop in your people. And the ones that say, I don't know what to post about, what do they like to talk about? That's the best starting point. What could you talk about all day? And how can you turn that into adding value? And the other one is, what do you do differently? In America, I mean, it's not common to have a lot of kids. So if you got a lot of kids, that's something that you're doing differently. Having a farm. For me, it would be making bread. I got a lot of people way back when interested because I would be making bread. They never heard of grinding your own wheat. They never heard of these things. So they are so curious. Make people curious, because that is going to foster curiosity into what you're doing with Plexus too. And this is your job, to help people develop that, because people don't know. They don't see these things about themselves. These are all things that my downline has told me. Like, how do I add value? What do you find interesting? What do you want to see me post more about?
Yeah, that's a great point about showing up on social media as a leader. I think when you show up as a giver on social media versus a taker, which is what 99% of people are on social media for, that in and of itself, the whole mindset of I'm here to offer something versus consume something, that in and of itself adds value and makes people think earlier. It's a great point.
Try to make it not super shallow. Like, I would consider posting pictures of my baby shallow. It drives up my engagement. People think it's cute, they like it. But I want to go deeper than that too. Because when you can connect to their heart, I mean, they might feel warm and fuzzy about a baby, but if they can connect on other things, that is what's going to draw them to you and what you are doing. Also, how to stand firm in your belief and your convictions and be firm in that too, without pushing people away. People you're gonna push some people away, and that's okay. By posting about how I breastfeed, there are formula feeding moms who get offended. But while there's someone who's getting offended, there's other people who feel connected. So don't be afraid that your posting will separate some people, and that is okay. We want everyone, but we don't need everyone.
Yes. All right, so help them become influential by adding value. And those are some great questions to ask to help them do that.
Which is kind of going into self-aware, which is our next point.
Yeah.
You help them be self-aware.
Yes, that was super important. So I read this article a few years ago, and it was basically a list of the top 10 qualities that the highest paid CEOs in America have in common. And the number one was self-awareness. And I just find that to be so interesting because when you're self-aware, it goes like the fruit that produces is confidence. And not only that, but you respect differences more. Like you don't fall into the trap of thinking everyone has to be like me to be successful. Or if everyone were more like me, they would be better. Like you appreciate differences, like you're more confident in yourself, but you also work better with others who are different than you, which newsflash, your team's going to be different than you. Not everybody's going to have the same personality or even internal motivators. And so it's really important for you to be self-aware so that you can have confidence and so that you can work better with others and also so that you can help others be self-aware.
I love being self-aware. Any of you who have been through counseling or anything like that, one of the first things they have you do every single time with every counselor is personality testing because they want to know you, what makes you tick. So in Plexus, we'll say, what color personality are you? There's so many different personality types, but the more you as a leader can be familiar with that, you can ask your people, hey, what personality are you? So what makes them tick is what you're asking. Where are their weaknesses potentially? If they're a yellow, they might tend to have these certain tendencies, or if they're a red, they might come off too abrasive or too harsh. They need to tone it down. They need to smile more. These are all things I've been told. You need to smile more, Phallin. People are real scared of you. So I work on it. Not that I'm perfect at it, but the yellows, maybe they talk a lot. Maybe they need to listen more. So knowing your people is how you're going to develop them. Developing a leader isn't, let me tell you how to be a leader. They can read that in a John Maxwell book. You are developing people. You are developing their hearts, their souls, all of those things. So know who it is that you're working with, and don't let, your job is to not let their weaknesses become roadblocks or hindrances, because sometimes personality, oh, I'm just a blue, I just talk all day, or I'm just a green, I'm just so depressed and it's hard for me to get out of bed, or whatever, like, or I'm a red, I'm gonna blow everyone over. We don't want to get stuck in that. Like if someone's like, well, this is just how I am, take me or leave me. In this instance, that's not okay. We want to be working on being our best selves. And that's what we want to be working towards. And that's what you're going to help your people become, is their best self. That's being self-aware.
And you want them to be a self-aware leader. And most people do not just naturally think of themselves as leaders, but you can call that out in them. It's so important for people to hear, like, see that right there, that quality right there, what you just did, that's the quality of a leader. That's why you can be a diamond. And if you don't intuitively know, like, all of the different facets or attributes of a leader, John Maxwell wrote a book. It's called 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. You don't have to go back and look. Go on Amazon, click the look inside button, and screenshot the table of contents. There's some qualities. When you're talking to your team, have the list in front of you. If this is something that you need to practice and get good at, have this list in front of you. And as you are engaging with your team, you look for those qualities: courage, charisma. I don't know some other ones that was on that list you sent me the other day.
I know I screenshotted it somewhere. On my phone.
But that was two: courage, charisma, problem solving. It was like a lot of them. Well, there was only 5 on that list, but I think, like, if you want a comprehensive list, you probably could just look at the table of contents and be so intentional to call it out. That is so confidence building to people too. Because when Phallin told me I was a leader, I honestly, I never had thought of myself that way. I've always been a homeschooling mom. I never wanted to have a career outside of my home, much less be a leader. I just didn't think of myself that way because I just had never been in that role before. Other than, obviously being a mom is being a leader, but I just didn't consider myself to be that. She called that out in me. And I would say at this point, I'm a strong leader. But a lot of it was her just telling me like, that's a leader, that's a leader. Or if I wasn't doing something that a leader should do, she was willing to say that too. Here's what this, and it wasn't always like, you're not doing this and you should be. It was more like, here's what the strongest leaders are doing, and this is what we need to do too. And she didn't make it about her, or like she would always know, like if she were to come at me with like, well, I think we need to do this and this, quickest way to get me to do the opposite. For real. But if she would say, well, this top diamond does this, and this is what I think we need to do, then I'd be like, I'm in, let's do it. So she didn't make it about her or her being the boss or her being up here and me being down here or her being the head of me or a stronger leader. None of that. It's like, we're doing this together. Here's what the most successful people are doing. Here's the qualities of the top leader. We're going to emulate this.
100%. I had to do you. This is why you have to know your people. I led Brittany very differently than I would lead my sister or any other leaders. I would lead people differently based on them in a coaching. It is always speaking life into them and calling out the traits that you see. And I wouldn't say, hey, you suck at this. If there was an area that I was like, she needs to work on that, I would recommend a book. I never would be like, let me hit you over the head at what you're doing wrong. It's always positive and uplifting, and here's why you can do this. Your job is mainly to build belief and to inspire and to give people vision. That is your main job.
Yeah, and you definitely have to care more about someone's growth and reaching their potential than you care about their feelings. You can't just sit on this, like you can't just call yourself cheerleader. You should be doing way more as a leader than just cheerleading. Is cheerleading an important part of it? Well, of course, but it's not the main part of it. It's not the most important part of it. Because they're coming to you for results, right? That's what they want from you.
Intentional cheerleading is going to look like coaching. It's not, oh my gosh, yay, you showed up, yay. There's no point in saying that. Yay, you showed up. Your team is going to show up because you did the hard thing. You showed up. That's a leader. That's why you're going to be a diamond. See the difference there? Yay, you did it. It's just so and I'm very quick. Y'all see how I do my introductions. Hey, good, glad you're here. Okay, I'm done. Like that is how I like to talk to people, but I learned to dig into that with them. You have to care about people. And so I think we'd all say we care about people. That's probably why we're here. But you have to care about the right people because I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't have time for this. This is a lot of time. Sounds like, and it is. That is why you have to be intentional with who you pour your time into because we don't have a lot of time. I got 7 kids. I don't have a lot of time. I'm pouring into my teenagers now. There's a lot going on and I'm pouring into my relationship with my husband. So be intentional with that. Don't get distracted by the plexus friendships. They're great and you can have sideline friendships. I remember several diamonds said they didn't have any sideline friendships until they were past diamond. They were so busy with their downline and that can be hard, but I focus on my leaders and developing them. I wasn't busy with this sideline or that sideline or this rank up to sapphire chat or whatever. I was focusing, it was cracking. I was focusing on my downline.
Is that the speaker?
Oh,
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
It goes away.
Yeah, I 100% echo that. And I have done the same thing. Just I take every opportunity that I can get to pour into my now, like spend time with my people. Like I've never given myself the luxury of being on a trip, whether it's like a road trip to somewhere like this, and or Hawaii or like anywhere, and like just giving myself the luxury of being with my friends. No, my friends are my downline. And I'm not saying I don't have sideline friends. I'm saying I know where my priorities lie. And my priority really is my family. That's my priority. And so my team is my priority because my family is my priority. It's not that I don't love my sidelines or value those relationships, because I greatly do. But like I like if I'm on a trip, I'm not concerned about hanging out with my friends. When I'm with my friends, yes, it's easier. It's comfortable. I can turn off. Like I can be myself. I don't feel pressure to like change someone's life or, whatever. Because as a leader, you can feel these things and it is uncomfortable. It does feel like pressure if you're in a car with someone from your team for hours and hours and hours. But I cannot even count how many times I had put myself in those uncomfortable situations. I'm an introvert, first of all. Let that be known. It's not easy for me to have like conversations with me. I'm not a chit chatter. Like I have to work really hard to think about what to say, think about questions to ask. Like these are skills that I have forced myself to learn. It's not something that like came naturally or easily, or that I just find it so much fun and so I do it. No, it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it's pressure, but I've done it because I know I want the results of it. So that's really important. You've got to be willing to invest in your people. And if you're on a trip and you're concerned more about your friends and your sidelines than you are about your down, that's not good leadership.
And we all want to help people, but if you're helping everybody, you're helping nobody. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping your downline. If you're so busy pouring into sidelines, your downline is gonna go to sidelines. It's a sideline circle, and we want you to have relationships, but that is the biggest complaint that I hear from people is I don't have the time to work this business. Then why the heck are you wasting time? This is God's time for one thing. So I'm real intentional with my time and I have very limited time. So I'm going to make sure to maximize my time. And that's what we've done is we pour into our leaders first and foremost, because that they're here. They want you. If you're busy with your sideline, your downline is busy with the sideline, but what they want is you. They want a leader. Again, another reason you gotta love your people, because you're gonna need to spend some serious time with them. Okay, so do you want to go?
It is definitely time consuming and energy consuming. It's an outpouring. But remember what I said earlier about resenting the work that it's going to take? Like that's a sign of discontentedness, right? It's going to take work. So just accept that. Yes, it's an outpouring and you just have to be willing to do it. And you need to make this point about choosing to care about people, because some of y'all might be sitting here thinking, well, I mean, I don't really care about people that much. So what if they feel that way?
So I felt that way before because my mom told me I wasn't a people person. And so I owned it. That's why we gotta be careful what we say to our downline and to our kids. But I was like, I'm not a people person. And that turned into, with years of hurt and heartache, I hate people. And Brittany's like, you don't hate people, girl, because she knew I loved her. It's like, you love people. Well, I don't feel like I do. So how did I learn that? Because I can honestly say, when I walk into a room, I love you guys. I wish I had more time to talk to everybody. I love people. So how do you get to that when you feel like you don't? You take the action before you feel the things. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are women, so I can probably say this, but when your husband's wanting sex every day and you're not, I'm not saying you gotta do it every day, but when I don't, but when he's wanting it and you don't, and it's been a bit, and you know you gotta do it, how do you get in the mood? You focus on him. You focus on loving him. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I could do this every day. This feels good. I love it. But that's how you love people. I love you. How can I love you? How can I love Natalie? How can I ask her questions? How can I dig into her life? I need to know her kids' names. I'm going to be intentional. And then suddenly I love this person. I care about her. She's struggling in her business. She's having a hard time. Or she ranked up and we're going to party. I'm so excited. I love her because I focus on how to love her. And it's going to look different for everybody. when Brittany's going through a hard time and she comes to me and I really want to tell her, like, that's why we're going to go diamond. She's having a hard time. Maybe her kids are growing up. Maybe they're getting married. You cry with her. It's not the time to talk about what she needs to be doing, because this is about her life right now. And that's how you care about people, is you get your thoughts out of your mind. Dang, I thought we were going diamond this month. She's having this really hard, really just, this isn't going to happen again in her life. How can I love her? And we hear it all the time. People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. I did not comprehend that statement. I was like, what do you mean care? I need money. I'm broke. I'm the one with holes in my shoes. I need these people to work. And I had to realize that it wasn't about me. So you put yourself behind, you focus on them, you focus on loving them. And that is how you learn to love people.
That's so good. So basically what you're saying is caring about people is a choice.
It's a
something you
choice.
choose to do.
And it is natural. God made us to care. So if you don't, you better figure out how to. Don't necessarily, you can figure out why you don't care. Like my mom put that into me or whatever, but how can you go above it? You have to be intentional, because God created us to care.
Yeah, if you don't care about people, do it anyway. So what's you trying to say? Do it anyway. All right, did we talk about leader versus friend? Cause that was, I don't see that. Did we pass that?
We
How do
didn't
you
even
know,
have
how do you know when to be a leader versus a friend? So Phallin was saying the other day, like most people have this backwards, like they think that they need to be friend, and then when it's time to lead, it feels awkward. And really, it should be flipped. Like you are leader first. And then when things come up that need somebody needs a friend, then you be a friend. But you're leader first. What do you got to add to that?
Well, I think that when it goes back to like Brittany's having a hard time, like I'm always a leader. I'm always a leader. When we get on the phone, we're talking about work, we're doing business, we're doing life together. And then something happens and then I'm always her friend, but then I get closer to friend mode with that. Instead of like, I'm a friend, I love everybody, we're all friends. And I think extroverts can have a harder time with this too, because extroverts really love everybody. It's everybody. And then they have a hard time honing in and getting into those meaningful relationships. So introverts might be easier on them to do that. So know yourself. Am I an introvert or am I an extrovert? Do I have tons of friends? Do I have some deep level friends?
I had an important thought, but I just lost it.
I lost that whole thought, so I just repeat what I already said.
Oh, I know what you're saying. So for me, as far as being a leader versus a friend, I think a lot of it is taking ownership of your own business and not thinking that your business is up to your team. Because if you're looking at your team or your downline and you're thinking, I need them to do this so that I can, that's a victim mindset. And I think it's important to know that your success is up to you. No, you can't do it without a team. But if it is really also important for you to have wit. Wit is wealth in this business. Like you want to be wide with leaders because stuff happens. Like we're all gonna go through hard seasons in life. And if you're wide with your leaders, then when one of them is up, others are going to be down. You may have 2 up, 2 down. You may have 2 up, 3 down, 4 down. But if you, I mean, and that's really important, because if 2 are up and 2 are down, then you're maintaining. And if you want growth, then you need more leaders. So it is really important that you be wide. And if you are wide, then you're not going to put that pressure on 1 or 2 people that you feel so desperate to have so you can reach that goal.
When you're wide, it's easy to make it about them and not about yourself, because your points are still moving up. You're a friend to the person who is struggling. You're trying to pull them out of it. You're trying to raise them to a higher standard, but you're not frustrated or annoyed or irritated that their kids are sick and they feel overwhelmed or they're planning a wedding or whatever, because you're too busy over here. Here's where the growth is happening. Here's who's growing. Here's who I'm pouring into right now. Doesn't mean that I don't love that person, but this is where you're growing. So this is where you're working. And it always is ebbing and flowing in my business. And I know who is doing the things and who's going to get most of my time. They're coming to me. They're the ones coming to me. I am reaching down to them as well, but they'll be coming to you. If you give them action steps and they don't do the things, they need to grow through that. Go work on someone who's ready to take the action, someone who's ready, and we're going to talk here and we're almost done, setting goals. Who's ready to set the goals? Who's ready to do the things? Those are the ones you're going to talk to.
Yeah, definitely help people set goals. That is the next thing you have to do to create a leader. So it starts with vision, which we have touched on. But it always starts with vision. You need to know what your people want that they don't currently have. And then you show them how that is possible. And then even be willing sometimes to like break down the numbers. Like, you want to be in Mexico next year? Okay, here's what that's going to look like. What do you need to do every single day to ensure that by July 31st, you are at 1,500 or above points? You're going to have to be willing to break it down all the way to daily activities.
Yeah, I'll tell you what goal setting isn't. We got on the phone. She's ready to go Ruby. Ready to go Ruby.
By December.
Oh yeah. You put a day, if you put a time frame on it, you're doing pretty good. Ruby by December.
Got goals.
I am not excited about that. I'm going to ask some questions, but that is not okay. That is nothing about goal setting, vision casting at all. Like maybe 0.5%. That's about it. You have to go further than that. If someone wants to be Ruby by December, what do they need to do? And what are you going to do to help them? You're going to talk to them every day. You might need to write that down. Sometimes we get busy working on our own business. It's midway through the month. Oh crap, so-and-so wanted to go Ruby by December. I haven't even connected with her. Not okay. So write it down. Planner and writing things down is so important because our minds are full. We forget how many times, shoot, even myself wanted to post about the Nikes. What's the date now? We're third way through the month and I still haven't. Not okay for me either. You have to write these things down and help them write it down, break it down, always down to the daily work. So when I wanted to go diamond and I was silver, oh my gosh, 4,500 points. What am I going to do? Okay, I need to figure out how many people I need to talk to sign them up. I talked to 10 people to sign up one. That means I need to talk to whatever number it was, this many people per day to move forward. And when you're focusing on huge goals, I knew it was going to be a lot at first. Like, wow, that's a lot. I'm going to need to get some people working this with me because I can't talk to 100 people a day. But I was still where I was at. And so I was doing the work. So write down realistic goals for them and break it all the way down. If they're not on book club, that is your chance to say, get on book club every week. Or that is your chance to say, make sure you're at Super Saturday or whatever it is. Those are the times where you say the hard things that, they're not wanting to hear because they're not doing the things. You look for little ways to plug those things in as you're helping them set goals because people are ready for it when they want growth. They will be ready to do the hard things if they're focusing on a goal.
And when you break it down to the daily, that's a really good way to determine if the goal is realistic. Because if you break it all the way down and you're like, okay, in order for you to be Ruby by December, that means you gotta talk to 1,302,000 people a day. How's that? Right? All in? Okay, let's go. Yay! No, I mean, you just ask, when you break it down and you say, how does that feel? Like, does that feel doable to you? Like, what are your thoughts around this? Do you feel like that's something you could do consistently? And if the answer is no, then they should never, ever sense any disappointment from you. Because again, your business is up to you. It's not up to them. Your goal is to help them reach their goal, not your goal. So if you're asking them, how does this feel? And they're hesitant, or you can sense like, I don't know if that's doable, then you adjust the timeline. You don't adjust the goal, you adjust the timeline.
Yes. The last point we have here is leaders are going to do three-way calls and events. You're going to do those things with your people. It's really important.
Or you empower them to do it. Like if you're not local, I really strongly believe that leaders should be doing events. Now, does that mean you have to be the speaker at an event? No, because you may have to get through hospitality. Then you team up with somebody who does have to get through speaking, and you set the room up and make all the name tags and do all of the things that make you feel warm and welcome and excited to be there. and find somebody with the strength of a presentation, right? So it's really important that leaders be doing events, and I'm not talking about you. I hope that you all in this room are doing events. But what I'm saying is if you want to create a leader, you empower them to do events. People on your team who are saying, I would like to make money. You tell them how to do an event. You can start by doing events with them. That is how Phallin and I started. And by the way, her Panera Bread story where we showed up to an empty room and stood there looking at each other like, how long should we wait? What do we do next? That was more than one time. That was actually 3 times we did that. And not only that, like she would drive across the state of Georgia with me to go do an event for Christina. And so it started with us doing it together, but I don't need her to do that with me now. I know how to do that. You need to make sure your people know how to do events.
Her knowing how to do it without me happened very early. I mean, silver or gold. Like, don't wait for your upline to do it and don't let your downline wait on you. It's great to do things together, but the sooner you can subdivide off like dividing cells, the better. Let them go do their things. We're leaders because we acted like leaders before we were leaders. That is how Brittany Howard is on the advisory board. You guys know what a big deal that is? This is why she intimidates me. She's real smart.
I had no
She's doing-
idea that I
She's
intimidated.
doing real big
news.
things. She's doing big things because at Silver, she acted like a leader. And I let her. I didn't try to hold her back. Well, we got to do every little thing together. We would do it together. When it worked, she would go do it. And her events were successful. They weren't empty rooms at Panera. Yeah. So don't be, another thing with your leaders, don't be competing with your leaders, y'all. Are we here to make a freaking paycheck? Or are we here to have ego and pride get in our way? That's what I want to know. I be seeing some of you fighting with your downline, getting intimidated. They're doing better than you. Stop the crap. Enjoy your paycheck. That's what we're here for.
And John Maxwell says that the truest sign of leadership is when the people that you have mentored pass you. Like that would be the truest sign. And so hopefully that is your goal, because again, we're here to unlock people's potential and empower them to go reach it. Their success is not going to look the same as yours. They're going to have different strengths than you have, and you encourage them in whatever their strength is, because when they are diamonds, then they're going to look like a different diamond than you look like. And we're all needed. It doesn't make them better than you or superior in any way. It's like we're all needed. God made us different for a reason.
Every single personality, every single one of you in this room, we're gonna end here and go have some lunch, but I really want you guys to all know that you can all do this. There was not anybody who looked at me and thought I was gonna be a leader.
Me either.
I thought you'd be a leader.
Oh, I know. That's
She
why
knew
I appreciate
She
it.
knew I wasn't a leader. She actually quit halfway to goal. Found sucks. She ain't taking me nowhere. And then when I was Ruby, she came back and she thought maybe she knows something. Maybe she can lead me somewhere. We can do something with this. No more empty rooms at Panera. I'm not kidding. This is for real.
Yeah.
And look at her now. All of you can be here. Don't tell yourselves the lie of my leaders aren't good enough, or I'm not good enough, or I don't look like so-and-so. Every single one of you can be doing exactly what we're doing. I'm not even kidding. We're so normal. It's just not even funny. That's all I got.
Happy lunch. Do we need to get any direction about lunch? Huh? Oh, okay, so you have a 30-minute break right now? Okay, we'll see, y'all can eat at 12.
It's just a break? I don't know. We're like literally downtime? Oh yeah, it's like break. Okay, there we go.
We get a break.
I think we crushed it.
Yeah, we did.
That was good.
It was good.
Thank you for all those.
So fun. Oh.